Matt Von Swole here saying Moroccan Muslims who have invaded the small Spanish city of Ceuta are now breaking into stores by the hundreds. Police are overwhelmed. Migrants can be seen running from one store to the next, grabbing items and running. Where's the military? They don't care. That's where. Wait, hold on. Where's the military? Why does it look like the police are helping them? Bro, what? Bro, what? No arrest, just letting them run. Actually fucking insane. Actually insane to see. And you just know, once the comeuppance time happens, these people will be like, I was just following orders. That wasn't an excuse 100 years ago. Won't be an excuse now. And, I had this post by Sydney Watson that I thought was pretty interesting. She said, I'm going to say it again. People who live in white, culturally homogenous areas throughout Western countries do not understand what it's like dealing with people who don't speak your language, who don't assimilate, and who create enclaves full of rubbish, crime, and violence. You don't understand, so you don't think mass immigration is a problem. But people dealing with it day in and day out are sick to fucking death of it. And when you vote in favor of this shit, you doom us to more of it, and you will eventually doom yourselves. I remember reading, like, this part before I saved the post, and I was thinking about, you know, when I went to North Carolina, I kind of made fun of the area that my mother lived in, because it was so, like, TV trope, stereotypical redneck, right? Like, everybody was in, like, a trailer. It was a big trailer park, but they were, like, the trailers on cinder blocks, not the ones on wheels. And, you know, you had, like, the John Deere fucking lawnmowers that people would drive to, like, a barbecue on Saturdays, and they'd have, like, the front yard barbecue with all their little John Deere, little fucking lawnmowers. And I was like, this is not a real place. You had, like, the stereotypical, fucking 13-year-old who was already pregnant once, had an abortion, and is pregnant again. You had the stereotypical, like, 16-year-old who dropped out of high school and was gonna be, like, a dead weight person. You had, like... No real, like, crazy crimes, just degeneracy and kind of, like, TV trope funniness. And I was thinking about this in comparison to where my mom lived in Massachusetts. And how horrific that was. And I'm thinking, like, so the poor enclaves that my mom lived in Massachusetts were full of people that didn't speak English and were rife with crime, rife with, like, actual prostitution. I've seen so many people get stabbed. I've seen so many, like, incredibly bloody, disfiguring fights. I've seen people get shot. I saw that one Puerto Rican chick's cat get beaten to death. And then I'm thinking to myself, hold on, wait a minute. Unironically, the TV trope area that I poke fun at was, like, safer than the places I was living in Massachusetts. And I was like, I don't know. It just never clicked to me that it's like, huh, I talk about the places she lived in Mass as like, damn, this was horrific and dangerous, and I never should have been allowed to do certain things as a child because of the area that we lived in. Whereas when I talk about North Carolina, it was just like, well, here's the funny things about living in this really poor area in North Carolina. I live in a pretty all-right part of DFW, and I see fewer and fewer Americans every day. I hear less and less English every day. I talk to friends back in Melbourne who work in the city who say they're lucky if they see another Australian. They also know who's committing all the violent crime, and nobody's allowed to say it. I talk to friends in Canada whose towns have been taken over by third worlders. I read about little English villages that have been flooded with third worlders who now outnumber the native population 3-1. Governments know people are getting angrier and angrier, so what do? They pass legislation to criminalize calling this shit out. They criminalize people begging for less of this. I don't want diversity, I don't want multiculturalism, and I'm basically beyond the point of caring if that upsets others. So many of us have been badgered since we were children into believing being white is some type of sin, and we have to atone for the colonization of our ancestors. So now that we're being invaded by the entire third world, it's somehow justified. And this is kind of why, so whenever somebody espouses this kind of belief, right, where they're just like, well, that's what you get for colonizing places, it's like, well, sure, but we're allowed to defend ourselves, right? Like, you're not allowed to shame us for defending ourselves. Everyone who's been colonized everywhere defended themselves at some point, and they lost that battle. That's how the colonization happened. And so, if we refuse to defend ourselves, then yeah, sure, it's completely justified, because if we're not going to defend ourselves, then why should anyone care if the civilization collapses? That is the most logical way to respond to those people. Stop buying into it, stop apologizing, and stop being sorry for wanting your country back. We're allowed to want our cultures, traditions, and ancestry upheld. We're allowed to say no to this. And it is wild how many people have, I guess, been brainwashed into thinking that that's not the case. Right, like how do you simultaneously hold the beliefs that America should not be the world police, but America is responsible for taking care of everyone else in the world? It's like a wild thing to believe. This was like a horrific image, in my opinion, because it's like, look at how well these two pictures line up. It's got the fucking bridge right here that goes vertically, splitting the screen. This one doesn't have a bridge necessarily, but it is a large fence with a walkway. You have like this down frame where people are coming up onto the beach area, much like the stairs here. The same in the background. You have all these people coming up. You have all the people in the background coming up. And even the side of the imagery, right? Like, this might be a giant facility. These are giant buildings that are built. Here's a big rock. This is like a big rock, not a facility, but it has the exact same proportions. These are the same fucking image. It is both, like, wondrous and terrifying at the same time that history can repeat itself with the exact same composition. One of the funny things is seeing all the leftists implicitly accepting that forcing thousands of foreigners on a location is an act of aggression. Have they been? I haven't seen any leftists accepting that. Except the woman isn't being thrown off, she's welcoming them in. That would be the only difference, yeah? Yeah. If only there was some sort of statue in that other picture, man. Imagine that. Imagine that. The simulation is real and it's malfunctioning. And it's just like, how? How do you get this poetic? I'm actually impressed. Number of illegal Africans who've invaded Spain in just 24 hours is now 60,000, still rising. They're absolutely everywhere in Ceuta, whose population was 80,000 before. The Spanish Prime Minister is a traitor. He should be removed from office. Maybe all the self-loathing types are manifesting this shit, but not me. Yeah, I don't want to see this shit, man. Oh, I like these thatchwork parasols, though. Those are cool. Are we on to Spain? We're finishing Spain. Got so many people, man. Time for the Coast Guard to start sinking boats again. Good lord. Don't see a single woman or child. You know, it's bad when even Germany sees this and decides to revoke the Schengen zone from Spain. Did Germany actually revoke Schengen zone too? I knew Italy did, but I hadn't seen any posts about other countries doing it. Yes? Oh, fuck, dude. Spain is getting a paddling. This guy climbing the fence. What's this fucking guy? It's a shame because Spain is a beautiful country. Yeah, that's why like I don't want to see bad shit happen to Italy, man. I want to actually visit France and have it still be France, and I want to visit Italy and have it still be fucking Italy. That's the point of going to those places. That seems to be lost on some people, though. President of the EU Commission saying the images coming from Ceuta are unacceptable. We cannot allow anyone to come to our union without abiding by our rules. She couldn't even go 2 sentences without fucking lying, bro. Dangerous crossings must stop immediately. Smuggling networks must be dismantled, and returns must be swift as our rules allow. I tasked 2 commissioners to control the situation. Magnus Brunner is already working closely with Spain and is ready to travel to critical points. He will work on additional operational support to Spain, including through Frontex. Dubravka Suica is in contact with her Moroccan counterpart. I'm confident that our close partnership with Morocco will help deliver concrete results. Step down, let patriots take over, and start remigration. Yeah, pretty much. Fuck you, seriously? To this day, you fine us Hungarians every day, every fucking day, 1 million euros for defending the EU borders, while you give millions of euros for Sanchez to let 1 million illegal migrants to the EU. Fuck you! 2 more strongly worded essays, and I think the job will be done. True. You're literally flooding Europe with rapists, murderers, and third world criminals. You're a part of the problem, not the solution. You and Frontex are facilitating millions of immigrants into Europe. We all see you for who you are. Yeah, pretty much. That Hungarian is based. I've had a handful of Hungarians in chat before. Never seen a non-based Hungarian. Ursula von der Satan is an actual lying through the teeth wench. Yeah. Anyone working in the EU Commission, I would just imagine, is lying bold-facedly to you while smiling and hoping you believe their lies. There's a reason the Camp of the Saints is banned literature. Fair. Ancestors fought off Ottoman hordes for centuries. A Muslim conquest of Western Europe was halted by the blood of these people's ancestors. Now look at them. It's very sad, and hopefully enough people wake up, man. Photo taken about 250 meters from my house. I have 2 girls, ages 3 and 7, that I've basically had to escort all the way to the port along with my wife so that the 3 of them could leave for Malaga. It's not just that in a city of 80,000 people, 50,000 have entered. It's that they're walking the streets with katanas. Ceuta doesn't deserve this. And reading this brings up a very good point. Imagine living in this area, right? And you have a wife, and you have small children, and then 60,000 fighting age military men who fucking hate you pour over your border, and your government says, well, you know, things happen, and then ignores you. Like, I don't know if some people genuinely understand how terrifying that is. It sounds like open season. It does. They have ninja swords. The next all Hokage. Katanas, the invaders, are fucking weebs. Probably just getting any kind of weaponry they can, honestly. We're hungry. We're going home. What a curious sight we're witnessing right now in Ceuta. Hundreds of immigrants are returning to Morocco on foot and without being coerced by anyone. It's worth remembering that today is Friday and the city is practically shut down.
Ahora mismo lo que estamos viendo, queridos amigos, es una imagen curiosa.
No.
Los inmigrantes ellos mismos por su
los inmigrantes, I understood that one.
propio pie se están regresando a Marruecos. Están regresando a Marruecos. Nos hacen el gesto de tenemos hambre. Hay que decir que aquí en Ceuta todo está cerrado. Hay muchas cosas que están cerradas y no pueden hacer absolutamente nada. Es imposible comer, es imposible poder subsistir durante todo ese día sin comer, sin beber. Y lo que estamos viendo es que están volviendo ellos mismos a su país por su propio pie, unos volviendo con sus globos. No sabemos si con esos flotadores que han llegado van a...
As someone who doesn't speak Spanish, I can like hear the difference when a Spain Spanish and a Mexican Spanish speak. I could not tell you what the difference is, but like I can hear a linguistic difference when they speak.
A volver, no sabemos si esto ha sido una prueba, no sabemos por qué están volviendo, insisto, les vemos volviendo también con esos flotadores, ya famosos flotadores, con los cuales entraron en España. Insisto, la imagen es esta, los propios inmigrantes volviendo a Marruecos. Algunos siguen entrando, ahora ya no como la imagen que veíamos anoche, pero también siguen entrando algunos. Eso digo yo, algunos marchan.
Why is there so much trash? Right, like these are people who came for like a daytime test run of an invasion. How in the fuck did them just swimming over to this area cause so much fucking trash and like their shoes to be left behind? Like, what? Like in all of the images I've seen of like wartime invasions, like yeah, there's like There's like the war machines in the water, but the water's not covered in trash. Do these people just like have loot in their pockets? Like what is happening?
Marchándose muchos y ya pocos.
I also don't think these are floating devices, right? Because like these ones are. Like this one, this is like probably a tire or some shit. Here's another big piece, here's another big piece. But all of these things, and you can see like the shape of flip-flops floating, right? You can see some of them are the flip-flops. But like all these little tiny things, those are not gonna help you float. Those aren't flotation devices. Like this one over here is definitely a flotation device. This one over here. But like all of this shit is trash. Third worlders just naturally have an aura that summons trash. What a shitty innate ability to be born with. Summon trash, bro.
Que están entrando a España como vimos anoche.
It was like someone's fucking mail, dude. Someone was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna bring my tax document. Fuck that.
Curiosa imagen la que estamos grabando a estas horas de la mañana.
The green shirt is eating his sandals? What?
Que están entrando a España.
Bro, what? Why? What? What? Why would you do that? Is this how they like test to see if they're theirs? They're just like, oh, I took my flip-flops off to swim, but then I lost one of them and I picked up another flip-flop and now I gotta taste it to make sure it's mine. What are we doing?
¿Por qué vais a Marruecos? Sí. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué?
¿Por qué?
¿Por qué vais a Marruecos? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué vais a Marruecos?
Por lo que torbuena española.
¿Pero por qué o volvéis a Marruecos?
No comida.
No hay comida. No hay comida. No comida. ¿Hablas español?
Español un momento.
¿Por qué vais a Marruecos?
I got some Cro-Magnon forehead, brother.
¿Por
Holy.
qué? ¿Por qué? ¿Qué ha pasado?
No, problema de...
Hambre, el hambre...
no, trabajo no...
No hay trabajo, no hay hambre. Pero eso no lo sabíais antes de venir.
What?
¿No
What
lo
was that?
sabíais?
No sé.
Bueno, pues nada. Mucha suerte, ¿eh?
They're going back to Morocco because there's no food anymore. Yeah, like that's an insane thing to say. What the fuck?
Parece que están volviendo a Marruecos. No sé qué es lo que está pasando ahora mismo. A ver si alguno que entiende nuestro idioma entiende algo que lo que estamos preguntando, nos puede explicar el fenómeno que estamos viendo ahora mismo. Insisto, que parece que están volviendo a Marruecos. Hola, ¿hablas español? ¿Hablas español?
No hablo español.
¿Hablas español? No. ¿Estáis volviendo a Marruecos? No sé, están volviendo a Marruecos porque el camino que han cogido para entrar y parece que están volviendo a Marruecos, no sé por qué. ¿Estáis volviendo a Marruecos? ¿Por qué? Ah, tienen hambre y están volviendo a Marruecos.
Then we have another Israeli person here saying, my congratulations to the president of the government of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, for his profound commitment to welcoming immigration and human diversity. As someone who demonstrates great concern for Hamas and the residents of Gaza, I call on you to translate words into actions, open the doors of Spain, and grant refuge to the residents of Gaza who seek to emigrate. This is an excellent opportunity to contribute a little more to Spain's human diversity. What a bitch. What a bitch, dude. I was just like, what? What the fuck are you doing, guy? President Trump erupted at the White House, pounding his fist on the table as he declared Europe is being invaded. This is a complete ruthless invasion.
Did you discuss it with him?
I did, briefly. He's going to have to mention it because it's killing your country.
Mr. President,
Killing you.
he won't talk to GBUs.
He's killing your country.
He won't talk to them.
And not him. I mean, we'll have to see. I know Starmer did very little about it. And they're coming from all over the world. They're coming from Africa. They're coming from South America. They're coming from different parts of Asia. And they're invading Europe. I mean, they're invading Europe. It's an invasion. And the UK is a prime suspect.
Mr. President, on Todd Blanche, Senator John Cornyn of Texas.
I don't know exactly what he means by the UK is the prime suspect, but I do want to remind everyone that Keir Starmer was the one who said outright, your politicians are doing this to you. This is by design. Germany's far-left party Die Linke demands that the country must take in illegal migrants who stormed Ceuta. While Spain's socialist government struggles with the consequences of the massive influx of migrants to the enclave of Ceuta, the left in Germany is already demanding that Germany take in migrants from the overrun city. Germany and the EU have a duty to help with providing aid and taking in asylum seekers, declared Clara Bunger, 40, deputy leader of the left party parliamentary group, according to the AFP news agency. Anyone who believes that further isolation will solve the problem is mistaken, said the party spokesperson on domestic and refugee policy. The situation in Ceuta is the result of political decisions. More on the left party's demands can be found here. Why are we still allowing women to be in positions of power at this point? Like, you just need to look at any decision by any of them to be like, you just don't belong having any power over anything. Patriots are in control! Of course, the cops show up for the actual Spanish people coming to the streets. That's funny. The laws are there to prevent you from defending yourself, chat, not to actually arrest the criminals. You'd take a donut operator as president of France any day. We're just gonna be giving people countries. Look at all those palm trees. That lady's hair looks like it would have felt nice to touch. That police why did they zoom in on that guy's face? That police car's license plate was murm. Thousands of illegal African migrants overrun Spanish enclave, turn streets into open toilets, and bathe in fountains. Quote, an apocalypse. If you think 60,000 is an apocalypse, boy, you have no idea what's coming. An unprecedented wave of 60,000 illegal migrants from Africa flooded the Spanish enclave of Ceuta this week, prompting Spain to deploy its military. As terrified locals likened the invasion to an apocalypse. Harrowing local media reports reveal residents and business owners in Ceuta, a Spanish territory located on the North African coast, are too afraid to open their doors amid the rush of migrants. Why are they still called migrants? Why are news articles still calling them migrants instead of invaders? Many of whom arrived wearing nothing but swimwear without a penny or possession to their name. Like, the fact that they brought literally nothing except the clothes on their back, and then a chunk of them, because I don't believe it's all of them, but a chunk of them ended up leaving when they were like, oh, there's no food, I'm kind of bored, let's just fucking go home. That is what makes my tinfoil think that this was just an exercise. This was preparation. This was seeing how possible it would be to invade this area. Businesses closed, shops shut, because if you open a business, it gets overrun. We're scared, the streets are packed. There's no measures in place, it's every man for himself. They're not giving us any help. A frightened downturn restaurant owner who didn't want to give their name told state-owned Spanish media outlet RTVE. Bro, that's like a beautiful fucking view from the water as well, but like, holy shit. That's like night and day. It's like zombies waiting to attack civilization, man. Spain's Interior Ministry, meanwhile, estimated that about 50,000 migrants had crossed the border, but in a stunning reversal by 6 p.m. Friday, 48,300 had already returned home. First of all, how the fuck would you know exactly how many that quickly? Secondly, how the fuck would you know that many had left? Like, I just do not believe these numbers, man. 57 people died during the massive migration, including some who drowned and others who were trampled in a stampede while trying to cross fences near the Tarajal beach. The shocking surge came from after a ruling by Spain's Supreme Court earlier this month, which said that migrants intercepted at sea while attempting to reach Ceuta or Melilla, another Spanish autonomous city in northern Morocco, cannot be immediately deported. It has been a slow trickle since the Supreme Court's ruling, but today has been an explosion. A spokesperson for Spain's Guardia Civil Police told Reuters on Thursday. The Supreme Court ruling spread on Moroccan social media. Ayoub El Ibayad, a 16-year-old from Morocco, said he decided to try his luck with his cousin after seeing Instagram videos showing migrants crossing into Ceuta. You know, I enjoy watching, like, Black Friday fistfights online as much as the next guy, but I've never seen, like, a Black Friday fistfight and been like, yeah, I wanna go, buddy! So, the fact that, like, people can be influenced to invade an autonomous territory of another nation simply by Instagram videos should also horrify people. Migration is about improving our lives, he told Reuters. Fuck off. Improve your life in your own country. On the Moroccan side near the border with Ceuta, we agreed we would try the idea of crossing and trust in Allah. Oh my god, that's a line of fucking people! What the fuck? Even visually seeing this stuff, it is hard to conceptualize that this is a real thing that happened. It's like, that's fucking crazy. They look like bugs. A quarter of Moroccans aged between 15 and 24 are not in education, employment, or training, official data shows. A full quarter? That seems like a lot. That seems like a lot. What are the NEET statistics in Japan, bro? 25% NEET population. That is crazy. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez visited Ceuta on Friday and also blamed human smugglers for twisting the Supreme Court ruling. Fuck off, retard. It appears that this interpretation of the Supreme Court's ruling spread like wildfire over the past few hours through the networks of human trafficking organizations, triggering the kind of mass surge we witnessed yesterday, Sanchez said at a news conference. RTV broadcast images of burned cars on the Moroccan side of the border after reported clashes during the border rush. It's such a small fucking area too, like that's crazy. Moroccan security forces blocking the Ceuta Fnidek road. Fnidek. JP NEET status is 3.1%. Bro, Japan has a 3.1% NEET status, and there's like multiple television shows, multiple dramas, multiple animes about this. It's even like side quests in fucking mass acclaimed video games like Judgment. Meanwhile, Morocco has a quarter of all people between 15 and 24 who are NEET. That's fucking crazy. Japan treats 3.1 like a national emergency. These people have a quarter, and they're like, yeah, no, that's fine. We're just gonna come to your country and take your shit instead. No big deal. Give me your NEETs, your trash, your frustrated young men, meat in hand. Thanks, I hate it. Meanwhile, the socialist Spanish government, well, at least they call one spade a spade, even if they're still calling the other things migrants, which just months ago launched a program to give legal status to some 500,000 illegal immigrants in the country, which we now know is more than 860,000 from reading yesterday, said it deployed 200 specialized police officers and 60 troops from the mainland to assist Ceuta's own forces on Friday. We literally saw a video of the police officers helping the invaders. What the fuck are 60 troops gonna do? Like, give them firearms at this point? What are we talking about? A vehicle burns at the site of clashes near Findek on the Morocco-Spain border. Why are they setting buses on fire? The fuck is happening? However, the reinforcements were powerless in the face of such a massive migrant deluge, which consisted of mostly military-aged men. Do you remember when YouTubers were getting their channels banned for saying this a decade ago? Do you remember when anybody tried talking about this in the public sphere and they immediately got like their accounts deleted? Or they got like a visit from their fucking local police if they happened to be European? Yeah, the Sargon era. It's just like, it's amazing to see this actually be able to be said publicly, but it's also immensely angering how much carnage it took to just take like the simplest truth and be able to say it out loud without being persecuted for it. It's like an apocalypse, waves of people everywhere. You can see as many people wandering around as you want. Jose Carlos Lara, owner of a sign-making business just over the border, told RTVE. He said local authorities have no capacity to deal with the chaos and that the new arrivals are already sleeping in the streets and washing themselves in public fountains. A video shared on X by David Santos, director of right-leaning Spanish media outlet La Bandera, shows a migrant defecating on the side of a building in broad daylight. Lara added that other business owners, particularly food stores, have shut their doors in a panic, fearing widespread looting. All of these images, kind of like the initial images of the massive invader caravans of like 2015, 2016 into Europe. If we win, if we manage to save our nations, all of these images are prime history book material. Especially when you get into the nitty-gritty of NGOs paying for staged photographs of like migrant children posing to be dead in order to prey on the emotions of the European people. Absolutely should be in fucking history books that we teach the next generation, and that we teach them the dangers of how empathy can be used against you. Because the people who we call having suicidal empathy, they do not have empathy. Those are sociopathic, psychopathic, just dangerous monsters. The empathy that they prey on is yours. They count on you feeling bad. I'm not opening this afternoon because of the situation being extremely intense. The first thing I have to do is protect my business and my family. Women's clothing shop owner Enrique Sereno told Reuters, noting that businesses are taking self-defense matters into their own hands because they lack faith in cops' ability to protect them. This is literally everyone in every Western nation all around the world. If you are living in like America or Canada or France or anywhere in the UK or Germany or Spain, if you're living in any of these countries and you think the cops will help you with anything, you're fucking out of your mind. You do not know what's happening. The same is true of local residents, many of whom are afraid to walk the streets. People aren't leaving their homes only to buy food and then return. There's a lot of uncertainty, said Sebastian Anton, who works at a small supermarket in the middle of Ceuta. He compared the response of locals to what was seen during the darkest days of the pandemic. They're buying huge amounts of food to fill their pantries as if something bad were going to happen. Yeah. As if, you say? The White House capitalized on the harrowing footage showing throngs of young men making a mad dash into Ceuta to tout the president's border policies. Yeah, as he should. What the fuck do you mean? This is like when some news outlets condemned fucking Trump confronting, what's his fuck? I can't remember his name. The South African president guy. He was just like, hey, so you said that all of those mass graves were a lie. Here's a video of the mass graves. What do you think about that, guy? And everyone's like, how dare Trump embarrass the South African president that way? If not for President Trump, America's borders would still look like this, the White House X account wrote in a post accompanying clips of the migrant surge. And they're fucking right! A stark reminder of the consequences of mass migration and the radical left-wing globalist policies. However, by Friday afternoon, the Spanish Interior Minister said the country was expelling migrants at a rate of 150 per minute. Yeah, I just don't believe you. I just don't believe that. There is no evidence to show that you did any of that. Many had also returned voluntarily, the government said. There's evidence of that. There's video evidence of that because they're like, hey, there's no food here and I'm kind of bored. I'm just gonna go home, bro. Honestly, I don't even know why I came and now I'm going back. A young Moroccan man who said he was from Tangier told Reuters, I haven't eaten since lunch yesterday, even though I brought some money with me. What we're doing is neither good nor enjoyable. Then why did you do it? Inability to see 15 minutes in the future strikes again! Sanchez condemned the invasion as an attack and a violation of Spain's territorial integrity, adding that he's ordered buoys to be placed as a physical barrier to protect the border. The fuck are buoys gonna do? They're just gonna use that to help them not drown. What are you talking about? That dude did not fucking say that. I also cannot believe that socialist Sanchez would call this an attack. Yeah, you're fucking right. What the hell? Honestly, don't even know why I came, and now I'm going back. This fucking retard. Sanchez also assured the Spanish government is at work, ensuring nothing like this will happen again. I just don't believe you. And said the country's legislature is working on passing a system that would facilitate the repatriation of migrants who entered our country irregularly. He added that the government could even modify existing laws to guarantee those border repatriations as efficiently as possible. Unless people put a gun to his head, ain't no way he's flipping on this stuff. I don't think he will. I agree with you. The sudden migrant surge sent shockwaves throughout Western Europe as leaders threatened drastic measures to shore up their own borders. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said that her country was prepared to intervene with extraordinary measures to defend the borders and the safety of citizens, including the suspension of the Schengen area with Spain, referencing the 1985 agreement that allows people to travel freely between the borders of 29 European countries. Finland's Interior Minister Mari Rantanen quickly praised Meloni's proposal and said the rest of the EU should do the same. Marine Le Pen, a right-wing candidate for president in France, took it a step further, saying if elected, she would restrict travel to the Schengen zone to European nationals only. With how porous and ineffective any kind of border control has been in the majority of these, like, Western European countries, I don't know if I could even believe this statement, right? Marroquíes defecan en la vía publica en Ceuta. You've been to Europe and some places do not have very many public toilets. Venice was really bad for that. I don't know if this would be a public toilet issue. A Moroccan migrant in a ragged Gucci hat told the New York Times that the surge was due to, quote-unquote, no work available in Morocco, and speculated the government might have loosened the border into Spanish territory as a political pressure move. I don't know why they let us through. Maybe they had some political reason. They opened the border and let everyone go by. Now, why would you do that? Several migrants claimed to the New York Times that Moroccan authorities had encouraged them to cross into Ceuta. They just kept saying, go that way, Youssef Alawi, 26, told the publication, referring to police officers. Ceuta is an autonomous, self-governing city belonging to Spain. However, Morocco does not recognize Spanish sovereignty. I saw it so tiresome, chat. I don't know why they let us through. It's just like, why would you not have stronger border defenses when you have an autonomous territory across a strip of ocean from your main territory, bordering with a country that does not acknowledge that you own that small parcel of land? That seems like a recipe for fucking disaster. Still, Spain's foreign ministry downplayed any speculation that Moroccan authorities encouraged or turned a blind eye to the crossings, insisting on Thursday that ties with the country were excellent. Another Moroccan migrant traveling with his wife and young daughter. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, how did you find, like, the one guy traveling with a wife and a child? There's not a single one of those. Told the Times of London on condition of anonymity that he got a phone call that morning alerting him that the border with Ceuta was open. I did not want us to miss the opportunity, he told the outlet. Salaries are very low in Morocco. It's dead. Morocco is dead. He said he plans to settle in the Netherlands where his brother lives. Oh, congrats, you guys! Congrats! You get another economic migrant who's just complaining about his salary in Morocco. He doesn't actually care about the Netherlands. He just cares what he can reap from you. More illegals, yay! God damn it. Morocco is dead, you know? She said, the government has decided to temporarily suspend the free movement regime provided for by Schengen and maritime and air connections with Spain, reintroducing border controls. This is an extraordinary measure adopted to safeguard national security and prevent possible repercussions for our nation. The measure will be kept in force only for the time necessary, with particular attention to limiting any impact on summer tourist flows. In parallel, Italy is ready to support every European initiative to assist with Spanish institutions as needed to restore full control of the Union's external borders and to address the ongoing situation with determination. Defending borders means defending the safety of citizens, combating irregular immigration, and striking at the criminal networks that traffic human beings. An illegal migrant who broke into Spain says on live TV he fled Morocco because he's linked to a murder case.
¿Por qué no te quedas en Marruecos? ¿Por qué decides venir a España?
Ya, yo vine a España porque quiero cambiar la vida, ¿sabes? Tengo problemas a Marruecos, no quiero volver a Marruecos.
¿Qué problemas?
¿Qué problemas tienes en Marruecos? ¿Qué
Tengo
te pasa?
problemas que la gente con una colega que muerte, yo no puedo sentar ahí porque hablar cosas no buenas para mí, ¿sabes? Puedes morir una persona y yo o la otra persona, ¿sabes? Por eso yo vine.
¿Tenías trabajo? ¿Te faltaba trabajo?
Ya, yo tengo trabajo bueno, yo trabajar a la playa, yo ayudar a la gente que no sabes nadar, muchas cosas ahí.
Perdona, cuando hablas de problemas, ¿te refieres a problemas que tenías con la policía? ¿La policía te hizo algo allí?
Ya, con la gente, mucha gente a Marruecos, ¿sabes? peligroso, ¿sabes?
Es peligroso.
Ya, por eso yo sale
¿Por qué peligroso? ¿Qué te ha pasado allí?
a hacer cosas buenas y también la gente no me gusta yo hacer una cosa, ¿sabes? También yo buscar trabajo y no hay. Tengo back, yo hablo español y francés y al final no hay nada para mí, ¿sabes? Por eso yo vine para cambiar la vida, porque yo sentado ahí y no hay nada, ¿sabes?
Thank you, bald men, for the clip. I also have this little article here that I guess might explain what this guy was saying a bit better. An illegal Moroccan immigrant who just entered Ceuta acknowledges that he has fled his country because they linked him to a murder. An illegal immigrant from Morocco revealed that he has fled his country because they link him to a murder. The young man, who has just swamped into Ceuta in recent days, has openly acknowledged to a team of 4 that Moroccan authorities and certain conflicting environmentals relate him to a violent death, forcing him to leave his land in a hasty way. During the interview, recorded in the streets of the autonomous city while he was with other newcomers, the immigrant explained that he faces not only problems with the Moroccan police, but also with dangerous people who make his life impossible. It's you, sir. You are the dangerous people. You are the dangerous people who make our lives impossible. Stay home. Stay home, Dio. According to his testimony, the link with the murder case has closed all the doors in his country of origin and has pushed him to seek refuge in Spanish territory, despite doing so irregularly. I just want to point out that this guy is like, yeah, I'm evading repercussions for a murder. That's why I must come to a European country, because I know the European country won't do anything about me being a murderer. Why are they framing this like state oppression? No shit, a murder charge has closed all the doors to his country of origin. Well, I mean, look at how many times in America a murderer is allowed to just kind of get off scot-free, right? Like, they just be like, oh, oopsie poopsie, I was insane, haha tee hee. And then they just get to go free. The story comes in the midst of a new migration crisis in Ceuta. In just a week, more than 1,500 people have arrived. 15, that's a bit of a low ball there, buddy. That's, you're kind of like 58,500 off at a bare minimum, brother. Most of them young Moroccans who jump into the sea from the beaches near Fnidek, completely saturating the resources of the city and causing the collapse of the temporary immigrant stay center. The president of Ceuta, Juan Jesus Vivas, has demanded the central government the immediate declaration of a national migration emergency and has called for a unified command, even with possible military support, to manage a situation that he describes as untenable. The reception centers, designed for just over 500 places, are overwhelmed, and local authorities warn of the risk of public and health order problems. This type of confession, such as that of the immigrant linked to a murder, stoke the debate about the profile of those who arrive illegally and about the inability of the Spanish authorities to control the borders. While some of the newcomers claim to flee poverty or family problems, their family problems are not our problem. Why would we import blood feuds into European countries? It makes no fucking sense. Others, like this case, openly acknowledge that they escape justice or violent conflicts in Morocco. The situation remains tense. Interior maintains that it collaborates with the Moroccan authorities and that transfers to the peninsula are being made to relieve the pressure. But in Ceuta, the feeling of abandonment is growing. The testimony of this illegal immigrant only illustrates an increasingly complex reality. The massive arrival of people with problematic histories who make the city the first destination of those fleeing their own past. We should not be taking in the refuse and the trash from these countries. Migration is literally invasion. For 50 years, the traders in the West have insisted that immigration is not an invasion, and now the inevitable has become undeniable. Spain has deployed just 60 troops to its North African exclave of Ceuta after thousands of migrants overwhelmed security forces and stormed across the border from Morocco, with up to 30,000 more people reportedly swarming the frontier. The Spanish Interior Ministry said that the military contingent consisted of 3 platoons of 20 soldiers each, sent to reinforce the Guardia Civil after officers admitted that the border had totally collapsed. Madrid also dispatched specialized police units, bringing their total number to around 200, as well as 30 additional Guardia Civil officers. The small military deployment came after Ceuta's regional government pleaded with Madrid to take decisive action, close the border, and declare a national emergency, warning that local police, hospitals, and migrant reception facilities had been overwhelmed. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's government rejected the emergency request, arguing that migration does not qualify under legislation covering natural disasters, major accidents, and other national catastrophes. What a fucking retarded thing to say. I hate commies, dude. Of course it doesn't. It's war. Migrants and refugees should be met with military force at the border, or they will wage war on the native population. This is a larger invasion than the original one from North Africa that led to 700 years of Muslim occupation. Update, the invading force is up to 49,000 strong, and they're pillaging the towns. The latest number was 60,000, by the way. Terrifying footage showed scores of people seemingly breaking into homes across the city late at night. One clip appeared to show a man on top of a ladder hitting a first-floor window with an object. We saw that. After migrants flooded into the city, many local shops chose to close early. Enrique Serrano, who runs a women's clothing store in central Ceuta, told Reuters business owners were organizing self-defense because they believed police resources would be insufficient. And then an update that Finland had also joined Italy and Denmark in calling for Spain to be removed from the Schengen Agreement. Spain offers token responses as Morocco border totally collapses. Spain deployed just 60 troops to its North African enclave of Ceuta after thousands of migrants overwhelmed security forces and stormed across the border from Morocco, with up to 30,000 more people reportedly swarming the frontier. Spanish Interior Ministry said the military contingent consisted of 3 platoons of 20 soldiers each, sent to reinforce the Guardia Civil after officers admitted that the border had totally collapsed. Madrid also dispatched specialized police units, bringing their total number to around 200, as well as 30 additional Guardia Civil officers. The small military deployment came after Ceuta's regional government pleaded with Madrid to take decisive action, close the border, and declare a national emergency, warning that local police, hospitals, and migrant reception facilities had been overwhelmed. I feel like those are military vehicles that I would see in, like, that Resident Evil game that took place in Africa. Country! 60 soldiers for 60k invaders. I mean, to be fair... Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's government rejected the emergency request, arguing that migration does not qualify under legislation covering natural disasters, major accidents, and other national catastrophes. That was Resident Evil 5. Oh, did I say 4? My bad, chat. My bad, chat. I'm bad with numbers. But yeah, the African one. Featuring boulder punching. The fucking controls in 5 were horrific to work with. The soldiers were ordered to support the Guardia Civil in the exercise of its powers and perform any additional tasks deemed necessary to maintain security. However, Madrid announced no expanded rules of engagement or independent authority for the troops to seal the frontier, detain migrants, or carry out expulsions. So, you see, this is exactly why I'm questioning the numbers, right? When they're just like, oh, 60,000 people invaded, but they're all gone now. 150 deportations a minute, by the way. Where are we getting 150 a minute? How is that even possible? What are you fucking talking about? Their publicly defined role therefore remains one of the supporting the police rather than taking control of the border. For 200 soldiers, it's not possible. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. We know a whole bunch left willingly because they were just like, oh, I'm hungry and or bored. But like, a footage showed large groups swimming around the Tarajal breakwater, or Tarajal maybe, the J is silent, using inflatable tubes, climbing border structures, and rushing through an opened gate as overwhelmed officers struggled to contain the flow. Moroccan forces later deployed reinforcements and used water cannons to disperse crowds gathering near the Bab Ceuta crossing. Can you imagine if you were just like chilling on the beach, having a good day, enjoying a day off of work, and you just see like this massive locust swarm coming towards your beach? The situation is absolute chaos. Local Civil Guard Chief Rashid Sbihi told the AP, "It's not possible to give precise numbers, but there are thousands of migrants crossing," he said, adding that the border totally collapsed. Spanish state television initially reported that between 2,000 and 3,000 people had crossed the border. I think BBC had said something like 500, like actual disingenuous fuckwits. Well, local outlet Ceuta Al Dia claimed that around 20,000 had arrived. Antenna 3 cited Guardia Civil sources as estimating that almost 40,000 people had swarmed the frontier, although it acknowledged that the figure was approximate. Thousands more were reportedly traveling toward the border from Tangier, Tétouan, Fez, Rabat, Casablanca, and other Moroccan cities. 14 bodies were recovered from the sea around Ceuta within 24 hours, but no deaths have been attributed to clashes with Spanish or Moroccan security forces. The victims are believed to have died while attempting the maritime crossing. Sanchez and Interior Minister Fernando Grande Marlaska are scheduled to visit Ceuta on Friday. Spain and Morocco have meanwhile promised closer coordination and the rapid return of migrants who entered illegally, although Madrid has not explained how that pledge will be reconciled with a recent Supreme Court ruling restricting the summary expulsion of people arriving by sea. Yeah, why did they storm? Like, I'm sure they're gonna blame simply the Supreme Court ruling, but it can't only be that. There's no way it would cause that many people. There was this weird article that came out, a little bit of a weird article back in April. The Abraham Accords reached the Strait, how Israel can help Morocco reclaim its north. US-Spain tensions over NATO, Iran create opening for Morocco to press claims on Ceuta and Melilla, with Israel positioned to back Rabat diplomatically within US-led alliance that increasingly favors cooperative partners over European holdouts. The geopolitical earthquake shaking Washington's relationship with Madrid has opened an unexpected window for one of the Arab world's oldest territorial grievances. Spain's refusal to allow the United States access to its Rota and Meron military bases during the Iran campaign, its consistent failure to meet NATO defense spending targets, and Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's confrontational posture toward the Trump administration have collectively generated something rare in North African affairs: a genuine crack in Spain's strategic armor over Ceuta and Melilla. Into that crack, Morocco's most consequential new partner, Israel, is uniquely positioned to press. What a weird fucking article! The pieces have been assembling for months. In March 2026, Michael Rubin of the American Enterprise Institute, writing through the Middle East Forum, called on the Trump administration to formally recognize Ceuta and Melilla as occupied Moroccan territory, branding Spain a colonial power running colonies across the Strait of Gibraltar. Days later, Representative Mario Diaz-Balart, chairman of the House Subcommittee on National Security and one of Marco Rubio's closest congressional confidants, declared publicly that the enclaves are not in the geographic territory of Spain, but rather in the Moroccan territory, and that their fate should be established, negotiated, and discussed between friends and allies. This was not the fringe speaking, this was the architecture of a coordinated strategic repositioning. Spain might be run by socialists, but to have another strait controlled by Muslim authority, I think would be a very bad fucking idea. What the hell are you doing? And also very confusing. Why is Israel helping a Muslim nation? What's up with that? Morocco didn't exist until 60 years after that territory became Spanish. Any claim is nonsense. Yeah, also that it was Spanish before Morocco existed. How's it a colony? They've been Spain's for over 400 years. Just kind of make shit up and hope people believe it. Spain's estrangement from Washington has deepened further. An internal Pentagon email reported by Reuters in April 2026 outlined options including suspending Spain from NATO over its refusal to facilitate U.S. operations against Iran. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth made the administration's contempt for European free-riding explicit, singling out allies who refused to contribute to the Strait of Hormuz campaign. Trump himself has already called Spain terrible in March and has directed his Treasury Secretary to cut economic dealings with Madrid. Critically, Article 6 of the Washington Treaty explicitly excludes territories in continental Africa from NATO's collective defense obligations, meaning Ceuta and Melilla stand legally exposed. The alliance umbrella Spain has long relied upon to insulate its colonial holdouts from diplomatic pressure simply does not extend there. I do not like the implications that they are implying. Very fucking weird. The Jews and Muslims in Spain worked together to oppress the Christians before the Reconquista. Why do people like ushering in their own demise? It just seems so fucking nonsensical to me. Also of note, Andre Azoulay, a Moroccan Sephardic Jew, is the senior advisor to the King of Morocco. In 2023, received the Israeli Presidential Medal of Honor from Israel's President Isaac Herzog. What the fuck? This has been a problem with the US and Spain retreated from the bombing campaign against ISIS. You don't like the idea of taking chips out of Europeans just because they're uncooperative? It would create a massive security issue to lose control of another choke point like that. This is where Israel enters the equation, and does so with unusual leverage. The Abraham Accords transformed Morocco from a quiet interlocutor with Israel into a formal military partner. In January 2026, Israel and Morocco signed a joint military work plan for the year during the third meeting of their Joint Military Committee in Tel Aviv, which the IDF described as deepening cooperation with a key partner for regional stability. The two countries had already concluded a security cooperation agreement in 2021. This bilateral architecture gives Israel something it rarely possessed in North African politics: direct strategic stake in Rabat's regional success. That stake has an obvious application to Ceuta and Melilla. The Trump administration's Abrahamic coalition, built around a shared opposition to Iran and common economic incentives, has created an operational triangular relationship between Washington, Jerusalem, and Rabat. Israel's voice in that triangle carries disproportionate weight. When Israeli officials signal alignment with a partner's strategic interest, that signal registers powerfully in a White House that has placed Abraham Accords expansion at the center of its foreign policy vision. Morocco's territorial claim over the enclaves is not simply a bilateral dispute with Spain. It is increasingly a litmus test for whether the Trump administration will reward its most cooperative partners over its most obstinate NATO members. Israel can advance Morocco's cause through three distinct channels. First, through direct diplomatic signaling. Israeli acknowledgement that Spain's continued occupation of African territory undermines the post-colonial credibility that normalization frameworks require would reframe Ceuta and Melilla as a regional governance issue, not merely a bilateral spat. This seems really fucking weird. Also, what do they mean by Israelis' acknowledgement of Spain's continued occupation of African territory, considering it's been owned by Spain since the 1400s? That's very confusing. Second, through Washington corridors where Israel's influence is considerable, Israeli officials can amplify the case that Morocco's strategic contribution, anchoring the Western Mediterranean, controlling the southern approach to the Strait of Gibraltar, and serving as America's longest-standing treaty partner, warrants concrete American support on its most persistent territorial demand. Third, Israel can expose Spain's glaring hypocrisy. Madrid has been among the loudest European voices condemning Israeli territorial policies and settlements. Spain recognized a Palestinian state in 2024, while simultaneously maintaining European enclaves on African soil that predate modern Israel by 4 centuries. The contradiction is potent and deserves to be driven home repeatedly in international forums. I can see that being called out on Spain's hypocrisy part here, even though Spain's owned that little enclave, again, since the 1400s. If you're trying to make some sort of like, ooh, you're on stolen land, you better make sure that you're also not holding any kind of weird enclave and land, right? None of this requires military adventurism. Morocco has consistently pursued its northern claims through legal, demographic, and diplomatic pressure rather than force. The model is patient and effective. Israel's role would be diplomatic amplification within an alliance structure already sympathetic to Rabat's position. The United States designates Morocco a major non-NATO ally, has signed a new 10-year defense roadmap with Rabat, and is simultaneously threatening to suspend Spain from the alliance it refuses to support financially or operationally. Spain finds itself diplomatically isolated at precisely the moment its most exposed territorial possessions lack a legal defense guarantee. The Abraham Accords created a framework for reconfiguring Middle Eastern and North African alliances in ways that serve American and Israeli interests simultaneously. Helping Morocco recover Ceuta and Melilla would serve that framework and punish a NATO member that has repeatedly chosen obstruction over partnership at the alliance's most critical juncture. For Israel, amplifying Morocco's claim is not a charity, it is a strategic investment in a partner that, across the Strait of Gibraltar, holds the key to one of the world's most vital maritime choke points. Yeah, so if Spain isn't willing to play games, I would say just have the US take it over, right? Like, it's like, if you're not going to defend your territory, it's going to be ours now, buddy. That's much better than, like, giving it to somebody else where we might end up in another Iran situation where it gets closed. I take it over and we can just regime change and get an actual ally back. The yoinkening will continue until morale improves. The Times of Israel After kicking Spain out of Gaza ceasefire center, Netanyahu promises that countries opposing Israel will pay an immediate price. And this was also back in April of this year, so several months ago. Countries that wage a diplomatic war against Israel will pay an immediate price, says Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after Israel boots Spain from the Civil Military Coordination Center in Kiryat Gat. The CMCC oversees the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Spain had a permanent presence at the headquarters, an Israeli official tells the Times of Israel. Israel will not remain silent in the face of those who attack us, he says in a video statement. Spain has defamed our heroes, IDF soldiers, the soldiers of the most moral army in the world. All right, let's not get too carried away, buddy. All right, The move is sure to play well in the White House. Spain closed its airspace to U.S. planes involved in attacks on Iran after it denied use of jointly operated military bases. Tiers between Jerusalem and Madrid steadily deteriorated over the following 2 years as Spain's government expressed increasing anger and frustration against Israel over the war in Gaza. Last month, Spain permanently withdrew its ambassador to Israel. It sent its ambassador back to Iran this week. Again, this was in April. Those who attack Israel instead of terrorist regimes, whoever does so, will not be our partner regarding the future of this region, says Netanyahu. I am not prepared to tolerate this hypocrisy and this hostility, he concludes. I do not intend to allow any country to wage a diplomatic war against us without paying an immediate price. Is this real? Yeah, these are real articles. I don't know what to tell you. The left wants you to believe that 60,000 Moroccan men who invaded a city didn't think they'd be given asylum. It was just a fun day out of rioting, looting, and destruction. No, they thought they were staying.
All these people have been told that they're not going to be able to get asylum here, so they're being turned around and sent back right there. No, they're not letting people stay. That's what the police have told us. Everyone, they're making everybody leave.
But some people here in Kuzrucha go to Spain.
You can see, but most of them are walking this way because the police and the military have forced them to leave. The military says that they're not letting people stay, that you have to go back.
What about if many people stay here? No problem.
So your hope is that you'll be able to stay here?
Yeah. There is no problem.
So you read a news article that said that if you came here, you could claim asylum and live in Spain. And you read that and then you decided to swim over.
Can we just take a moment at how, absolutely in-fucking sane that sounds? Oh, you read a news article that said that you could just swim here and they would give you free food and free shelter and they're women, just living a life of luxury, buddy. What the free lobster at McDonald's ass moment. Yeah, right, what the fuck? Just simply tell the stupid foreigners to leave.
It says Spain is open the door.
It said Spain has opened the door. This was on social media.
Yeah.
On what, on Twitter or Instagram? Or?
Facebook, Instagram. Everyone wants to be here.
Why don't you want to go home to Morocco?
No. Morocco. No, Morocco.
There's no money in Morocco.
If you have a family, children like that, you can be happy.
None of you have brought women or children with you. What the fuck are you talking about? But you told them as if they go back to Morocco, there's gold bars hidden in all the politicians' houses, right? Right? Journalists spreading fake news. I'm shocked. I find it crazy that there are people who claim everything bad that's happened is the Jews' fault. It makes it hard to want to have a conversation with them. Yeah, the people who panic over everything is the fault of the Jews. That's crazy, bro. You sound like the same exact type of person who's every white man is evil and he must forever atone for his evils until he is dead.
Do you have a family?
Yeah. My mother, but should be do something to live a good life.
So you really want to leave Morocco? You don't care where you go?
Go Spain, anywhere. Just
Spain, Turkey. You just want to be able to leave Morocco. And why is that? Why do you want to leave Morocco so badly?
And why would we want these people in our countries, right? If they say, Morocco is doing badly, Morocco has no hope, well, you're Moroccan. Why would you not try to improve your own country? I mean, I know that takes more effort than just going to a European country and getting free shit. But if you think your country is in a bad state, the answer is to make your country better. Do things to improve your country. Improve it for all of the other Moroccans living there. Not fleeing it and leaving it to just fall apart even worse. Matt Von Swole here with another video saying Muslim invaders from Morocco are now smashing the graves of the people in Ceuta and throwing the pieces at the citizens of Spain. Citizens are now fighting back against the invaders with anything they can find. Where is the Spanish military? Not doing jack shit, that's where, buddy. And it's like, this is probably something people never even thought about, right? Like, we talk about how they're gonna burn your beautiful oak door, they're gonna burn down your homes, they're gonna torch your statues, they're gonna erase your history. But one thing we always kind of forget, and don't even think about in the time, cemeteries are also part of your history. There are gravestones in some of these cemeteries that date back hundreds of years, if not even thousands in some areas, right? Like, there are grave sites, even in America here, that date back to, like, the 1500s that I've seen. So it's like, imagine how old some of the grave sites in European countries are. They are destroying that history. They are defiling the history that made these places what they are. They are essentially saying, your ancestors do not matter. My narcissism and greed is worth more than the corpses of your ancestors. Absolutely fucking vile. Another woman! Woman spotted! As a kid, you lived on a Celtic site in the Czech Republic that had graves in it going back to 8000 BC. Yeah, like there's probably grave sites in certain places that I cannot even conceive of how old they are. You know, like that's crazy. 8000 BC? What the fuck, dude? Holy crap, Spanish civilians wielding batons are now hunting down African invaders in Ceuta and pushing them back to the border. Government won't do it, so Spanish men are taking it into their own hands. That's how it's done. Based Spaniards, patriots are in control, brother. We have some more videos from yesterday. Hundreds more migrants breached the Ceuta border and advanced inland as Spanish troops stood on the border or stood on the beach without intervening. Those 80 troops doing a lot of good, aren't they? Those 80 troops working hard, eh? All gone, by the way. Aw, James is sitting in my wife's lap.
Se queda igual, pueden entrar cuando quieran.
The 80 troops are ready to get so many strongly worded letters, true and fucking real.
The Spanish military have funny helmets. They're like flat.
I like that one. I don't know what the fuck kind of unit he is, but he's got a nice uniform. He's even got a funny side hat. That one's cute.
It's over.
That's a beret, but he's not green! Woman! Woman spotted! Useless woman just standing there filming. To be fair, we do need people to record what's going on the ground, you know? So this is a a Ceuta resident, they've invaded us. We are locked in our homes. The supermarkets have been looted. There's no supplies. There's absolutely nothing. They're trying to break into houses. There's no one to protect us. They've abandoned us.
Nos han invadido. Estamos encerrados en las casas. Los supermercados están saqueados. No hay
There's no supply of food or anything at all. I don't know when we will start to be hungry because our fridges are empty. There's people everywhere. It's a lie that they're good and bad people. That everything exists. My sister has left home. She had to go out through her window because they were getting into the neighbor's home. She had to go out in front. This is a real madness. There's no one who protects us. They've abandoned us. We're Spaniards. We own our businesses and lives. We're working people like any other Spanish. We need help. It's an invaded city. Less than 20 kilometers away. 70,000 people say the opposite. Yet there are children that also need help. Children that came very few because most were men. I don't know where they come from. I just know that there are looting, there have been problems, very strong cases, very serious things. And nobody comes to tell me que todo el mundo es bueno y que hay humanidad. Sí, también se me ha roto el corazón con niños que he visto. Se me ha roto, se me ha partido el alma. Pero hay mucha gente mala, 70,000 personas. Estamos locos. Estamos locos que venga alguien y me diga algo de la humanidad o no, que venga alguien que me lo diga a mí, que me lo diga a mí, que estoy aquí, que no puedo salir de mi casa con mi padre minusválido, que llevo días. Esto es muy fuerte, muy fuerte, y nos han abandonado. Somos españoles. Her father's been gone for days. Where the fuck's her father? Is he disappeared? Is there no contact with him? I was gonna wait until the end to like comment, but that caught me off guard. And then also, I wouldn't feel bad for the children coming over in this 60,000 plus strong invasion, right? Because considering it's mostly military men, the smarter ones are the ones who probably bring the women and children along in these cases because they know that they will be treated far differently. They know that if they came in as just a military-aged man, they might be turned away, they might be called awful things because they are, but if they have a woman and a child with them, they know that they can use that as a weapon for empathy and get a lot more, a lot more leeway than if they were just by themselves. We're Spaniards. It's Spanish and we live, work, pay taxes. We're good neighbors, good people. Our patron festivities, we don't know how to get him out of Ceuta. There's very little shame, and if there comes a single comment that says we have no humanity or something about children, many people
pero hay mucha gente que no.
En 70,000 people, we're desperate,
estamos desesperados.
and the moment will come when they haven't had anything, they're closed.
¿Qué hacemos? Por favor, ayuda. Vergüenza de gobierno, vergüenza de políticos, vergüenza de todo. No hay humanidad. ¿Y nosotros qué? ¿Y nosotros qué? Españoles. Y no religiones ni nada. Españoles. Aquí hay de todo en Ceuta.
We don't know how to get out. So that's probably a really fucking poor translation, but still. This is one of the purest examples of force doctrine in action. Yep. You wonder how many Spaniards are getting Americanized with seeing what their tax money is doing for them? I'm sure that there's a lot of Europeans who realized that they are basically just paying taxes to pay for all of these foreigners coming into their countries, much like we are in the US. Jeremy Kaufman here, quote retweeting this other post we read earlier, saying, imagine being 37 and going to a foreign country just because you heard a rumor that there was food there. Now imagine an entire continent of these people. I don't want to live in a zombie movie, chat. And then Jeremy also brought up a good question. He said, I'm skeptical that Israel can flood any country which it opposes with thousands of African Muslims. But if it could, the implication for how to treat Israel seems obvious. And regardless of Israel, if any country was able to plot about sending tens of thousands of able-bodied military men to invade another country's sovereign territory, that implication in and of itself is an act of war, is it not? Like, you might not be sending your own countrymen to conquer another nation, but you're using another country to invade sovereign territory of another country. And that would be really, that would be an act of war, would it not? And so if a country was to do that, and that is an act of war, you need to respond in kind, do you not? Because if a country employs an act of war upon you and you do nothing, is that not saying that, oh, well, we are ripe for the taking and anyone can come to invade and conquer us and we'll do nothing about it? Thomas Massey here posting, don't fall for fake Fox or GOP outrage 2 weeks ago. The House passed a bill that greenlit the transfer of Spanish territory to Morocco. Every Republican except him, Thomas Massey, voted for it. But now they are acting shocked at the invasion. Can I just say, why in the fuck are American politicians voting on any kind of transfer of Spanish territory to another nation? That does not make any fucking sense to me. We have nothing to do with that. And it says, scholarship program for refugees in Lebanon. Secretary is directed to consult with committees on the appropriations on an ongoing basis regarding how the programs will be administered by non-for-profit educational institutions in Lebanon and other matters related to implementation. Middle East Partnership Initiative. The committee directs funding for the Middle East Partnership Initiative, or MEPI, to support programs consistent with prior fiscal years. No later than the 60 days after the date of enactment of this act, the Secretary of State shall consult with the committees on appropriations on the allocation of funds provided for MEPI under national security investment programs and funds made available pursuant to Section 760A2 of this act. Morocco. The committee continues assistance for Morocco in support of United States national security investments and directs not less than $20 million under national security investment programs and not less than $20 million under foreign military financing programs. So why are we giving Morocco $40 million? The committee notes the historic alliance between the United States and Morocco as formalized in 1786 by the Moroccan-American Treaty of Peace and Friendship. The committee notes that the Spanish-administered cities of Ceuta and Melilla are located in Moroccan territory and remain the subject of Morocco's long-standing claim. The committee supports efforts by the Secretary of State to encourage diplomatic engagement between Morocco and Spain on the future status of Ceuta and Melilla. This says clerk.house.gov, final vote results for roll call 247, Republicans in Roman, Democrats in italic, Independents underlined, HR 8595, yay and nay, 15th of July 2026, 5:11 p.m. Bill title, National Security, Department of State and Related Programs Appropriations Act 2027. Republican had 215 yeah, 1 nay, Democrat 1 yes, 208 nay, Independent 1 yeah, no nay. And then the totals here. And then the top comment here does say, you're wrong about what HR 8595 does. It says, does HR 8595 greenlight transfer of Spanish territory to Morocco, specifically Ceuta? Grok says no. Based on the text of HR 8595, there's no provision that authorizes, endorses, or greenlights the transfer of Ceuta or any other Spanish territory to Morocco. HR 8595 is the fiscal year 2027 National Security, Department of State, and Related Programs Appropriations Act. It is primarily a U.S. appropriations bill that funds the State Department, foreign assistance, and related national security programs. Its provisions focus on funding levels for diplomacy and foreign aid, U.S. support for allies and partners, restrictions and oversight for certain foreign assistance, policies relating to countries such as China, Iran, Cuba, Venezuela, Israel, Egypt, Jordan, and Taiwan. It does not contain language transferring sovereignty over Ceuta, nor could a U.S. appropriations bill determine the sovereignty of Spanish territory. However, Massey responded and said, I gave you the receipts, you can argue with my characterization of the language, but you can't argue the language doesn't exist. And it's just like, I mean, he did give receipts, but I have absolutely no idea. Someone said you were community noted for a reason, but there's no community note here. So the community note must have gotten retracted, which is like, that's weird. That's strange here. So I don't think it would make any sense for the US to have any kind of vote over Spanish sovereign territory. That doesn't make sense. We have no business there. It has no business there. I guess we could always make a statement saying we recognize it as Moroccan sovereign land instead of Spanish land. But like, what? I don't understand why this is even something we're doing. Why are we even giving $40 million to Morocco? Post actual document, idiot post AI crap, you know? Don't show me words. Words don't mean things. You don't agree it says we want Spain to transfer it? I'm not exactly sure what this means, but it's very, very weird to me that this is even being discussed. There's long-running issues with notes on Massey's post getting brigaded as no note needed.
Why is the Twitter reply answering using AI? Grok can't read tabletop RPG rule correct when you give it the website with the rules.
Well, Bing Bang, thank you. Why is the Twitter reply using AI? Grok can't read. I read that. You read that. TTS read that. I'm sorry. My brain is mushy trying to figure out things I know nothing about. Thank you, Walla Bing Bang. Oh my god, the bill is encouraging diplomatic nagging of Spain until they give the city to Morocco. It's not ceding autonomy, obviously. Which, I mean, that makes the most sense, like the reading of it. It's still very stupid for us to be doing that. Like, why would we want to do that? Why do we care about this? We have our own problems. We should care about Ceuta, and even though Spain has a communist government, we should hope for a different government in Spain instead of ceding it to people who could shut it down in the same way that Iran shut down the Hormuz Strait. This would be a very, very retarded action to take. This guy posting, now that we're in Europe, Allah willed it, in the coming days, we'll continue our journey to Germany. In Germany, they will then be classified as unaccompanied minor refugees, even though they're not refugees, and even not often minors. And then each one of them costs up to 15,000 euros per month.
شو تبارك الله المشكل فرنسا ان شاء الله ما تعشموناش الله يرحم الوالدين.
Someone said everyone is back in Morocco again. No one is on their way to Germany. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah, okay. Asmongold has an opinion on this. Let's see.
I'm so happy this is happening, and it's so public, and it's so gratuitous.
Yep.
I'm so happy. Because I know...
This is the kind of thing that people need to see. Because this is coming to a town near you. This is not going to be isolated to this Spanish enclave on Moroccan territory. Whatever the fuck you want to call it. The Spanish own it. It's next to Morocco. Whatever. It's not on mainland Spain. But it's like, what the fuck, man?
I know what's coming. I do. I know what's going to happen. I have a very, very, very strong certainty on what I think is going to happen. Long overdue.
I don't know about the long overdue. I'm very worried because I don't think we're going to have a great response. Spain attacks selfish response of some EU countries to the Ceuta migrant crossings. Spain has condemned the selfish, polarizing, and unlawful reaction of some EU countries to the influx of about 60,000 migrants from Morocco into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. Spanish officials say almost all of those who reached Ceuta on July 30th have returned. I don't believe you. While Spain's interior minister said on Saturday that the death toll from the surge in the crossings had risen to at least 67. Italy temporarily suspended the EU's border-free Schengen arrangement with Spain as PM Giorgia Meloni called the scenes shocking. Finland and Denmark backed Italy's move, while Czech Prime Minister Andrej Babis urged a temporary suspension of Schengen membership. You're doing a 6-7 meme on dead migrants, chat? What are you doing? Sorry, dead invaders, asterisk. I got the fucking article migrant terminology in my brain. EU interior ministers will meet on Tuesday by video conference to discuss the issue. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez had called for an urgent meeting to reaffirm that the security of our external borders is a shared responsibility for all member states. 22 of the EU's 27 countries also called for emergency talks in an open letter, citing serious concerns regarding the developments in Ceuta. The nations welcome that Spain and Morocco are cooperating closely to ensure that swift return of migrants, but said a video conference would help reach agreement on mobilizing EU instruments and support for Spain to restore effective control of the border and prevent uncontrolled crossings. You see how this works? I know these aren't migrants. I've been calling them invaders all stream, but I've been reading the word migrant in these articles the entire time. And I even just slipped up and called them fucking migrants again, like just in regular speech. It's so awful, man. In a letter to the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said he had serious concerns about some European governments. You mean your own, retard Sanchez? He said the Spanish government had fully restored control over the border and prevented any unauthorized onward movement towards continental Europe in less than 48 hours. Bro, we've seen the fucking videos. Anyone who believes this, I feel like, is just retarded. Like, there's no way that that's true. There's no way that that's accurate. And we even had that video from like, what, it was like almost 6 p.m. Eastern, so like an hour or something ago, where Spanish people were like running around with batons beating the Africans. What are we doing here? Don't believe your lying eyes. While most had shown support and solidarity, Sanchez said other European governments had chosen to attack Spain, driven by prejudice, fake news, ignorance, or political interest. I think you mean driven by being able to see video footage with their own fucking eyes, and intelligence, and desire to at least posture to protect their citizens, right? Even if they're actually not doing anything, they at least postured to pretend that they're protecting their own citizens, which is far more than can be said for you, Mr. Sanchez. The European Union cannot afford this kind of selfish, polarizing, and unlawful reaction, he said. Also on Saturday, UK Prime Minister Andy Burnham. Who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is Andy Burnham? Said he had spoken to Sanchez and the UK was providing what help we can. There were chaotic scenes on Thursday in Ceuta as border controls in North African enclave apparently broke down. In a news conference on Saturday, Spain's Interior Minister Fernando Grande Marlaska told reporters that the situation in Ceuta had almost returned to normal. Almost all of the migrants had already left Ceuta, the minister said, adding that businesses had now reopened. Situation has been almost entirely reversed. He also said Spain had started to establish an inflatable maritime barrier to prevent further illegal migrant entry. He put buoys out there. I don't think buoys are going to be a deterrent, though. Morocco, which has been suffering from a high unemployment rate, witnessed several Gen Z anti-government protests last year, with young people demanding better opportunities and improvements to public services, as they should. Improve your own country, do not leave it. I applaud them. Do that more. Protest more. Together with Melilla, Ceuta forms the European Union's only land borders with Africa. Migrants can enter the enclave by swimming several kilometers. Spain has a relatively friendly approach to immigration. In April, the government approved plans to give legal status to 500,000 undocumented migrants, allowing them to be formally integrated into the workforce. At that time, the right-wing Italian prime minister had already criticized Sanchez, saying the policy would affect its neighbors. In June, the European Parliament approved tougher migration rules that grant authorities broader powers to return irregular arrivals. In 10 years, the United Kingdom will become the United Caliphate. I don't want to see that happen, so I don't want to use language like will. I want to use hopefully does not become, you know? Irregular arrivals. I hate commie language. Relatable. Very fucking relatable.